bought on the 8th has 8 functions. Spiders have 8 of them. Let me show you my DS Multi-8. Certina is owned under the Swatch Group, which means you're getting ETA inside, as well as Swiss-made quality. This DS Multi-8 is using the ETA E49531 quartz movement, 316L stainless steel hardware, sapphire with double AR coating, 100 meters of water resistance, deep brown stitched croc style leather strap with butterfly clasp, 2 pushers that has a smart crown in between, written DS, that means double security, Superluminova on the dial and hands, features a dot matrix LCD display and has a funny lump on the back. Case width is 42.5, lug to lug is 51.4, thickness is 12.7, lug width is 23 and weighs only 90 grams. Before I get stuck in, I just want to show you some pictures of the other models, and starting off, this is the one that I chose with the lovely brown leather strap. And the next sort of version they do is a full stainless steel. It's still keeping the black dial. And then they have a full titanium version. Look at that. And now the dial is in this sort of titanium sort of slate grey, and it has the sunburst effect on there. And here it's written titanium just above where the display is. Then I saw this version. Now this is the current version. These ones here were released in 2011, whereas these, I'm not exactly sure, maybe a few years later, but they've added some really big numbers and gone bold, and they've made it sort of much like the sort of Breitlings. I was almost ready to push the button and select this one, and I kept coming back to this one, so I was sort of in between and I wasn't sure which one I should go for, so I did a little bit more studying between these two models and eventually gave up and went for this one. And the reason why is because I like the simplicity of that dial. I also like how the digital display is just discreetly hidden down there, and I just want to add quickly that this display can be switched off, so it can go completely blank, so it gives you the illusion that this is just an analog watch without that sort of display. Whereas going back to this one, it seems like this was the first version, because they've sort of made a lovely dial and then decided they wanted to add the display and just slapped it down the bottom here, and it's covering up the numbers. And they've also put a little edging on there as well, so when that goes blank, you're basically just going to have a sort of a black rectangular shape there, where this remains very, very sort of stealthy indeed. Also, I'd like to sort of show you that the Certina, where it's 1888, it has this line underneath, and then it has the model number, where on my one it has Certina 1888 very nicely bold at the top there, and then the model number discreetly on there. And I just thought it's just a little bit too squashed up, and I'm not sure why they put a line through it. Anyway, moving on is the hands. Now these sort of have the spear hands, where this sort of has those sort of battens, and when you see the illumination, it has that sort of spearhead on the loom, where these are just very sort of square. And lastly, at the bottom, I know it's a very, very small thing, this has Swiss made either side of number 6, where on here it has Swiss made altogether, and I just find this has that more sort of vintage style. So that's why I went for that. And also I like that this has the sort of hourly markers in between the numbers as well, and also the numbers are a lot smaller and it gives you the illusion that the dial is a lot bigger. This just feels like it's a little bit squashed and makes the dial look smaller, but this has the sports sort of appearance, and this sort of has a sort of a combination of sort of dress and sports. The next version they do is with a silver dial. How about that? And this is Sunburst, and the hands are now in black. You can see the difference there between them, and the sort of applied markers and numbers sort of have a black edging on them. This has a very, very sort of dark grey to it, so you don't really notice it. And from there, they do another version. It's all black. Look at that, on a sort of a carbon sort of effect strap. And notice that they've got the numbers going around this time, but they've kept the numbers to that sort of nice size, but they've changed the hands. They've gone for those baton style. As you can see there, that is sort of the difference. So it's nice that they've given us variations so we can be very spoilt indeed. On the wrist it's absolutely gorgeous, but in the hand it is a real fingerprint magnet, and that's why I've got my finger DOMs on so I don't leave my excitement all over this piece. So let's have a little bit of detail now on that dial. That is a sort of a very sort of satin, charcoal, Teflon sort of black. It's very hard to sort of explain. It sort of has little sort of shimmers to it, but it's nothing metallic whatsoever. And it does have that double AR coating. Now my lights in my light box are very bright indeed. And with this here, look, that's really sort of absorbing that light. But most of the time, I say 99% of the time, that display is just, it feels like you could just go in with your fingers and pick those hands off the dial. It is probably one of the best AR coatings I've ever seen. And being that it's all sapphire means that it's going to look really sharp for many years to come, I would say. I like that the bezel, and it's all polished, is very, very thin as well, and it does sort of have a quite steep edge on there, which I do like. And the crystal does have a most fractional of lip on there. Now looking on the side case here, it's very sort of slab side on this way, and the lugs do curve down a little bit to sort of match the contour of your wrist, but they are very sort of, they give the appearance that they are very thick indeed, whereas on this side it has a little bit more of interest with the two pushers and that smart crown. So really there isn't much to talk about on that side. On the top edge here where the lugs are, this is all brushed, so it does have that sort of contrast between the polished and the brushing. Now for the back. Now this is a very unusual back case. It's held in with 4 screws, and yes, it is battery operated, and so they say 4 years of battery life, so I can imagine that is quite easy to get into using simple tools. Now the outer edge on the case is all polished, but on the inside it is just very dull and very boring, and I guess where that big round circle is the size of the battery. And then it has this very unusual lump. Now I will come back to that and explain what that does, but I'm sure some of you geeks have probably worked out what that lump's for. Anyway, that's sort of as interesting as it gets on the back, because we want to know what this can actually do. Now I did buy this watch completely brand new, so I still have some stickers I need to take off the clasp because I forgot to sort of talk about that. So let's just get that off, and then I shall show you all the little features that can do. The fit-in finish on this butterfly clasp is absolutely sort of just perfect, really. I can't actually fault anything on it. Now, for those who are wondering, what is a butterfly clasp? Well, this is basically once you have this adjusted to your wrist size, which is very easy, just pop that open and then slide it to the hole that suits you. Then you just push down, and there it has Certina very bold on that part there. And then when you put the watch on your wrist, then you just snap that side in, and then that folds into there, and then that is ready to go each time. So there's less stress on actually bending the leather there, because we usually get a weak point, or you start having cracks appearing there, where on this sort of style you won't have that. And then it has two pushers either side, so once you push those, the whole thing comes apart. There is some sort of mechanical parts in there and some screws holding it all together. So you mix of polishing and brushing in the center there, and then on the back it has made in China. I'm just kidding. It's some print there on the back with some sort of fine serial numbers, so you can really see that there is quality on this side. Let's look at the leather. The leather is a very rich dark brown and has that croc effect, and it does have some padding going about halfway, and that's quite stiff on that side, and this is a little bit more pliable, but it has that really nice stitching, which is in a cream. It's very, very thick stitching, and when I turn it over, it has some information on the back, and the stitching goes all the way through. And this material here, I take it this is for sort of bacteria and maybe some sweat. And then on this end here, I like that the keeper there is actually got a little bit of stitching on there, so it really does last. And there it is, all continuing on the other side. Really do like that sort of deep brown in that leather. It's got this sort of appearance that it looks sort of black, but it isn't. It does have those, between the creases, it has that sort of lighter brown. I really do like this, and that's going to take a little while so it actually gets broken in. But how this is set up with the butterfly, this is going to be sort of a really long lasting strap, because you don't have all the stresses of pulling that back, feeding it through, and then poking it through the keeper. And this is where you get most of the damage, is about this point here, whereas on this should keep it really in place for many minutes. Now for the full tutorial on how to actually work this, and also want to show you all the features and all the quirks it offers. And one of the features is this mode here, and this is sleep, and this is manually adjusted. And what it does, it puts the hands into this 12 o'clock position, it turns the digital display off, and it just keeps the timekeeping running in the background. And it's just a matter of pushing the crown button here and to wake it up. Now, talking about the buttons, the crown is a smart crown, and it's not like your regular crown where you turn it to adjust it. This is just on pushing only. So I'm going to refer to the buttons as the top button, the bottom button, and the crown to make it sort of very easy. So to wake this up, I'm just going to push the pusher here, and now it's come alive. Now in this mode here, this is going to be called the home time, and this is how I'm going to refer it, so we know exactly where we are. From here I can use the pushers and scroll through the date options. So if I give that one push on the top button, and this, as I said, is going to give you 3 date options. And what I mean, it's 3 formats. So at the moment, this is on Thursday, it's the 12th of March, and it's on 2020. And if I pushed again, it's now made it the 12th of March, and it's now got the week 11, and I will show you there is some little options where you can adjust the week so it suits you. And if I press for the third time, I now have the date and I have the tick in seconds. Now don't worry, you Americans, you can swap the month with the date so you can have it in your own format. And when I press again, it goes to the blank screen. You can do this in reverse because you can use the bottom button as well. And it has those little chirps. Anyway, so that is sort of the home time functions. Now I want to show you all the different modes it can do, and I'm just going to briefly go through it very quickly now and then go into more detail. So by pressing the crown from the home screen, I have T1, and this is your home time. So whatever T1 is set on, this will be shown onto the main display here on the sort of analog side. Now if I press again, you have a dual time at T2, and this is just shown in a digital format like so, and you still have your home time on the analog side. But if I press again, I have the option where I can change T1 with T2, and this will adjust the analog hands as well. So there is a really cool function. Next, there is a chronograph with a split time, and then you have a chronograph with the lap times. Then you have a timer. Then you have an alarm 1 and an alarm 2, and I will come back to that. And then the most important, we have set, and then the final press is blank screen, and it's back in home time. From now on, it's going to get very sort of technical, but I'm going to add the timestamps into the description so you can fast forward to the places where you need to know the most. In home time, I'm going to show you by pressing that button there, I'm going to show you how you can adjust the date, and this is the only place you can adjust the date. So with a long press on the top button here, it makes a chirp. Just want to add that every time you go into adjustment, the hands will automatically go into that 12 o'clock position. Now if you don't touch anything for 15 seconds, then it will come out the adjustment mode like it's just done there, and then you don't mess anything up just in case you pressed it by accident. So I like that feature. So from here, by pressing the long press, I get to adjust the year. I can adjust this by using the pushers going down or up. And then when you're happy, you just press the crown and then it moves over to the month. And here you can adjust it like so, and then back to the actual date. And you can have a long press and it can advance forward quickly. So we are on the 12th. Once you have got to the 12th, then it automatically comes back out, and that's how you set it. So it doesn't matter, even if you have this on a blank screen in the home time, just long press, it automatically just starts up the adjustment on the date. So to come out, you have to just quickly scroll through those three, and then it goes back. Next is the first mode, and that's the T1, and from here this is where you can adjust the main time. So it's just a long press on the up button again, a little chirp, and now I can adjust the hours, and you do it the same way as what you did with the date adjustment, using the up and down buttons to adjust. Now pressing the crown, it goes to the minutes, and then on the third press it goes on to the seconds. Now if you want to set the seconds exact on the 00 using atomic clock, then you just press top button there and that will zero the time off, and that's how you adjust it on that side. So if I go back in again, it's just in the hours, pushing the crown, goes to the minutes, and it goes to the seconds. If I'm happy with the seconds how they are, just pressing the crown and then it comes back out. From T1, the next mode is T2, and here you can adjust as well. So long press on the up button and then you have the hours. Now you can adjust the hours here, nice and easy. That's pretty understandable. I have this set to the European time, or to Switzerland, which is an hour ahead. Now if I press the crown and go to the minutes, now this becomes very interesting, because when I adjust, it would advance it 15 minutes at a time, like so. So you can do 15 minutes, or you can have half an hour increasements. I think that is really, really handy to have. And here, when you press the crown, of course you can't adjust the seconds, because that's to do with your main time, but that's very sort of easy to use. And just pressing the crown from here, because we're keeping on the same theme, the time swap, basically you're changing your home time with your world time. So from here, if I wanted to change from home time, which is T1, to T2, I'm just going to press the crown, and here it goes to the date option. Well, of course, I don't know whether I'm traveling to the eastern part or to the western part. So here you can adjust this. So if I wanted to say go to the 13th, yep, tomorrow is Friday the 13th, I can choose that. And then just by pressing the crown, it will do the swap for me. And then it's reversed here. So now I have the option to change the dual time, time 2, back to time 1. Now I just want to show you very quickly, I'm just going to come back out of here, because I do like to cover things in detail. Come back out here. Now if I press the date in the home time, it is set on the Friday the 13th. So it's even adjusted it from that side. How very cool is that? So let me just go back and time swap that. And because I'm time swapping back to home time, it's not going to ask for the date, because it already knows there that is set. So from time swap, pressing the crown, the next mode is the Chronograph Split. Now this is very, very clever, because it can store up to 20 split times, and you can recall this later. So how to start this? It's just a matter of pressing the top button, and yes, it is a 99-hour or 100-hour stopwatch. So let's just get on with it. So there I have the 100ths of the seconds, and there's the seconds, minutes, and then the hours. Then I can just stop that if I wanted to, and it comes up like so. If I press the C button, it will give me the total, and every time when you having a look at the total, the hands will automatically go into that 12 o'clock position. To reset this, I can press the bottom button here with a long press, or if I wanted to, I can continue with the stopwatch. So let me show you what the reset looks like. Just a few seconds, and it's like so, and then the hands go back to that position. So let me do some split times. So let's start the stopwatch, and there it goes. So I'm just going around the lap, and I'm coming up quarter of the way around the circuit. I want to make a little note of there, and then it stalls it here, or it pauses it, so you can just have a look and then continue just pressing the button again. It's started. So now I'm coming up halfway on the course. I want another lap time. Again, it flashes. Maybe it flashes because now I can note this down on paper, which is very handy. And then pressing again, and it's continuing. I'm coming up to 3/4 of a lap, and here it comes, and it's over. And now I have another time there, and then I'm coming over the finish line, and what I can do, I can just press stop straight away, and it's come up with my total time. Now if I push the bottom button here, it will show me split 1. Press again, I have split 2, and then split 3, and then that would be my total time. And at this point I can also press button A and continue. So if I wanted to, I can just continue like so and keep pressing this split button. So there's another split time. Come back out there and then press it again, and it's like so. If I press stop, That's my total of 1 minute and 2 seconds. Now if I press the bottom button here, I'm going to go through the split times here, so it goes split 3. Then it comes up with tot 1, and that's when I stopped it and started it again. And here it's going to continue with the split times. I thought that was really unique, very, very clever. So a long press on the bottom button here will reset it. I just want to show you something else, another cool feature that not many sort of watches have this. So if I press that and then go into the split time, see it's flashing at 260. Now what happens is when you come out of the modes and you go back to home time, when you enter the chronograph, let's go back in, the split time is always gone, and there it's showing you and it's still flashing. It hasn't, usually what happens, it just comes back and it's still continuing with the stopwatch, so you haven't got a clue where that is. So I thought that was a good piece of sort of a bit of software there, and if I press button C you can see it's continuing. That is very, very, very cool. So just a long press on C just to reset that. From the split chronograph going to the lap one. Now this one I find really cool, especially for me, especially if I'm going to racetracks. It's good to know what your lap times are, not the split times. Anyway, so this one, gonna press start, and of course you can stop it as well and just use it as like so. But when you press the bottom button here, it gives you the lap time, and again, like the split time, it flashes. But when I press again, it's restarted the stopwatch. So I'll just take it up to say 15 seconds, like so. There it is. And if I press again quickly, you can see that it's restarted. And then I can just stop like so, and then I can have a little recall. So there's my lap 1 time, there's my lap 2 time, and then lap 3, and then there is the total. And if you, with this one, if you're say in lap 2, just give you an example, and you can record up to 20 lap times. If I didn't mention before, in the split times you can also measure up to 20, and it all stores it in the memory. And this is in lap 2, and by pressing the top button here it goes straight to total. You can't just start it again. Same resetting feature, just long press on the bottom button there. So that's great, isn't it? So there you go, 1 lap. Here he comes, 4:44. Can I beat that time? Ah, I'm too slow. Anyway, you get the sort of idea. So I'm just going to stop that and reset it. And that is the chronographs covered. Next is the timer, and this is a 100-hour timer, so plenty of countdown there. So to adjust this is as much like how you adjust the date and time, pressing the top button just for a few seconds, and the hands go out the way. So here I can adjust the hours, and again you're using the up and down buttons. Pressing the crown goes to the minutes, and then it goes to the seconds. So let's just set this for an example of 5 seconds, because when I press this now I have a option. I have the option to change the alert. So I can either have it on S, which is sound. I have V, and V is for vibe. It has vibe, and that little lump on the back is where the vibrator sits. So not only does it have sound and vibe, you can actually have them go off together, vibe and sound. Anyway, let's just have that on sound. So once you've got that set, you just press the crown and it's ready to go. Then pressing the top button will start the countdown. And that will sound for about 10 seconds. Now, you notice that it started counting down from 5 seconds. So if I just take that back up, let's give you another example of 10 seconds. So there we go, there's that option. So if I just start it, Oh, that is so pleasing. Now I'm going to do something else as well. So when you stop it, it goes to 0, 0. If you press the bottom pusher, it resets it to the 10 seconds. So if I started that now quickly, now what I'm going to do is start it and show you what it looks like in home time. So I come out of there. Hopefully I can make it. There we go. Right, so that's in home time. And then when the timer comes on, or counting down, it comes up and it actually shows you what the timer's for, because sometimes you might think, what did I set that for? Anyway, there it comes. So you just press any button and then it just goes blank like that. That is so cool. So if I go back into the timer again, so we're back there now with a long press. Go into the adjustment. I want to go to 5 seconds because I want to show you guys what this vibe is like. Now it's does actually have a little noise to it as well, and yes, it does work. So let me sort of give you a demonstration the best I can. You could probably hear that as well. You can hear the motor and you can also feel it vibrate. I'm now going to set the vibe and sound and show you what that's like. So reset that to 5 seconds. Let's start that. So in between the vibrations, it's going to sound the tone as well. Right. I hope that microphone's picking it up, but it's really vibrating between. Anyway, I'm just going to stop that. So that is the sort of one of the features, or one of the hidden quirks, I should say. So from timer, the next mode is the alarm. Now I just want to explain that A1 alarm is for your home time and A2 alarm is for your dual time. Now I find this really convenient, especially when I need to phone abroad and I have the dual time set for their difference. When they say to me, can you phone me in the evening at say 6 o'clock, I don't need to do the calculation. All I do is go into A2 and set it for 6 o'clock. And I know when the alarm goes off, it is in their time zone. And also when you do the time swap, this will work in reverse as well. So if you need to phone home, you just set the alarm in the A1 setting to your home time. Anyway, I'm sure you understand. So on the display, I have OF flashing, and this means off. And by pressing the top button, it goes on, so you can toggle between those. So if it's in off, I just want to make a note of the time. If it's in off and then you press a long press on the top button, it goes into adjustment and it turns the alarm on. So what I want to do is show you the alarm feature. Now I'll try and get this quickly. So it's 14 and I'm sure it was 5. So once you have that set, again, you have the option for sound, vibe, or both. I'm just going to leave it on the sound, and then I'm going to catch it like so. Now, this does a really cool feature. So let me just come back out of this, and we go back here. I'm just going to wait for that to become 2:05 and show you what happens. The alarm will come up like what the timer does and flash on the screen, but it's going to have this really cool feature where if you don't turn the alarm off, it goes into an auto snooze. And here we come. So after 1 minute, the alarm will come back on again, and this will repeat it twice. And that is really, really handy. Now it's going to sound for 20 seconds. So as long as I don't touch any button, this will go automatically into snooze. So I'm just going to sort of play this out so you can see how it works. And while it's still sort of in the snooze mode, it's going to flash on the display like so. So you really do get a reminder what that alarm is. So let's sort of skip forward and see what happens in a moment. And the alarms come on, and that has still on 14:05. Just to remind you, that's when you set the alarm. I do like that. So if I now push a button, it's going to turn the alarm off and take the alarm notification off the screen. And the alarm doesn't turn off. This will be repeated in 24 hours time. So that's alarm 1 covered. So I just press the off there. Now if I go through, there's alarm 2, and this works exactly the same, and it will just come up with a 2 instead. So from the alarms, I'm going to show you set. With a long press on the top button, I can go into the adjustment menu. First off is with the sound, and you can either have this on or off. And this is to do with the button pressing. But for this tutorial, I thought I'll leave it beeping. Now, I only get sort of 10 seconds between each sort of press, because if I don't do anything, it will automatically go into the home timekeeping mode like so. So it takes you completely out of settings, which I do actually like. It's quite a nice sort of safety feature. So I wanted to just quickly cover that so you really get to see everything in this video. So let's do that again. And using the buttons you can toggle through. I think I mentioned that. Next we have language. And there's 6 of those. So the language options are English, German, French, Spanish, pork and cheese, or Italian. And after language, I have the option to change the date format. So for you Americans, watch this. I can now have the month and day, or you can swap it back to how we Europeans have. So there is that option. And you have the 24 hours or the 12-hour option, and then you have the start of the week. I like to have it on Monday. You can choose Saturday, or you can have it on Sunday. And this other one is quite interesting. This is your week, or how you would like your week started. Say you wanted on a full week, so after one full week, then it counts it. I like to have it so I'm on that week. Or you can have it so it starts on the first Thursday. Not sure what that's about, but I'm sure some of you do. So I'm going to have it on that one because I like to know where I am. And also we have sync. By pressing the top button with a long press, I can now adjust the minute hand. It's come up with M, and here you can use the up and down button to fine tune the minute hand and also the hour hand. You never know, you might drop it and the hands go off alignment. And just to mention that they are 2 separate motors running these hands. So I don't need to do anything there, so I can just press the sync and come out of that. Now the next one is the sleep mode. So if you want to have sleep, then it's just a long press on the button, top button, and then it goes into sleep. And that's how we started it. Just to add, if you have the timer set or the alarms, none of them will work in this mode. This is basically just running the time and the date. I just want to cover another sort of little feature, or what it can do or what it doesn't do. And this is to do with the time swap. So if I just want to quickly change those, it's just pressing that button there and just pressing the crown. Now I'm in time 2, so I'm in the dual time. Now if I come back out of that and go back to the home time where I have the blank screen. Now if I want to adjust the date here by pressing the button here with the long press, it's going to come up with no set. And this is just to let you know that you cannot adjust the date while you have the hands swap. So I thought I would mention that because I was playing around with it and suddenly it came up with no set and I got very confused. So I had to look in the instruction manual for the very first time and to sort of find out what is the trouble. So now I come back out. There it is. That's the date there. So if I do a long press, I can now adjust it. So just so you know that you don't end up like what I was doing and pulling all your beard hair out. So that is my full tutorial on everything you need to. I've actually forgotten one of the big quirks of this watch. You're probably just thinking, wow, it's all very well being in your light box because you can see everything on the display there. I mean, I know it has super luminova and that's okay for the time, but what happens if I need to set, say, the alarm or the timer and it's nighttime? Well, this has a genius backlight and it can be operated in any time, in any mode, even if you're setting. It is so easy. All you need to do is push the crown in for a few seconds. So let me dim the lights and show you all what it can do. Okay, you ready for this? Just a few seconds on the crown. And look at that. That is just incredible, and it lasts for about 10 seconds if you don't push any button. And the reason why I say not push any button, because if you're pushing the buttons, as long as you're within the 10 seconds, you will have the backlight continuously on. So say I want to go into the timer, I can adjust this. Look, it goes like so. So it faded a little bit because it's just using a bit of energy to sort of use the hands to move. So if I wanted to set that for, say, 10 seconds, I'm doing this all in the dark. I can even turn the vibration, the sound on, and then I can just start it away. I'm ready to go, and I did that all in the dark. That is really, really amazing. So that is that is just amazing. Now, Casio, are you listening? This is the kind of backlight you need to put in your G-Shocks. That is what we need. It doesn't have the tilt sort of option though from G-Shock, so I guess Certina, are you listening? So that is my full review and tutorial on this wonderful piece. This is my own watch. I've bought it with my own money and I'm not sponsored, so I can say whether it is rubbish or not. And I have to say, I absolutely adore this watch. I think it is brilliant. I really, really do like it. Anyway, I hoped you enjoyed that, and that is the Duel time. That is my home time. And as always, thanks for watching.